Welcome and bienvenue to the Avenue of Champagne, or the Avenue de Champagne. Right now I am visiting Paris, France. I'm visiting my friend Kara, and she took us on a day trip from Paris to Epernay, which some call the capital of Champagne, or the Champagne capital of the world. And there is this boulevard, or this avenue or street, that they call the Avenue of Champagne, because as we walk down this street, we're just going to come to champagne house after champagne house after champagne house. Now, while that is the visible section, underneath our feet, there's actually apparently a whole city of cellars and champagne production. And I read that there are over 200 million bottles of champagne under the ground, so I might have to start digging. But in all seriousness, we are going to explore the Avenue of Champagne. We're going to see what the champagne houses are, what there is to offer. So if you come to visit, you can have your very best experience in Epernay as well. But first, remember to click subscribe so you never miss a travel tip or trick. And now let's drink some champagne.
Muffin talk. Muffin talk. Muffin talks, bringing healing to those who need them most.
Right at the start of the Avenue of Champagne, there is a champagne house. It is called Vincent Testula. My apologies if I am mispronouncing that, but since this is our first stop, this is the very first champagne house that we've stumbled upon. We literally have not walked a step. It's right here at the start of the Avenue of Champagne. We're going to go and try. Now, just because I was interested in seeing what there is to offer, when you come and look at the menus, you can get things like just a glass or a bottle, but they also do these little sort of champagne test flights and a mystery glass, the Flûte Mystère. So we're gonna go in and see what it's like at our first champagne house. Look at how cute this is. They gave us this really cute outside seating, so we are going to sit down and sip some champagne.
It's 4 years of aging. It's a brut with 6 grams sugar per liter.
Cheers! We got the Discovery flight, so I believe that this is 3 glasses of champagne. It cost €21, just to give you an idea. And I was expecting these glasses to come out and be very tiny. This one is bigger than most New York City pours, so this is going to be a very bubbly afternoon. Our first tasting, cheers! Not going to lie, this is only the second glass in our flight, and this is our first champagne house, and I'm already feeling the bubbles in my brain. So stay tuned, because as the day progresses, I'm gonna get more and more champagne-y. This is our third glass in the flight. This one was described as a winter wine that's very good for sitting in front of the fireplace, and he described it as a little more oaky. I actually think it's very delightful. It is my favorite of the 3. It's so light and bubbly. Cheers! We just finished our first tasting. It was magnifique. It was so good, and there was so much champagne. I was very surprised. Our waiter, Boris, came out and explained about each champagne. So it was sort of like a mini champagne tour combined with the champagne tasting. So we're gonna find a second champagne house. There's literally just champagne house after champagne house here, so it's not gonna be hard to find another one. Just so you know, it took us about an hour and a half to get here from Paris. It was €22-ish each way for me, and I think it's really worth it. It's a great day trip. So let's find our next champagne house. I do want to point out that just a few steps away from our first champagne tasting, we do have Dom Perignon and Moet and Chandon. We personally are not going to go in here because we've had Dom Perignon and Moet and Chandon before, so we're going to try to find some of the other houses that maybe we haven't heard of. But I do want to let you know that there is this house here, so we're going to continue our walk down the Boulevard of Champagne. Our next stop is the Perrier Jouer Champagne House. We are stopping here because Kara loves Oscar Wilde, and this was Oscar Wilde's favorite champagne. Also, this garden and courtyard is so beautiful. Now, they don't do a tasting flight like the first place that we went, but they do have champagne cocktails and glasses of champagne. So we're gonna sit down, enjoy this glorious courtyard, and see what there is to see and taste what there is to taste. Here at Perrier Jouer, it is absolutely lovely. I don't know if you can tell how beautiful the courtyard is. There are these umbrellas over us, offering us shade. There's really beautiful music playing, kind of creating a very chill vibe. Now this one was slightly different than the last tasting. The last tasting, they offered flights of champagne, so we could try like 3 different types of champagne from that champagne producer. This one, you could only get glasses of champagne. They didn't offer flights. You could also get a bottle, but they also offered champagne cocktails. So we got a Rosé d'été, which I believe means rose of the summer. And it is so refreshing and delightful, especially because it's really warm out today. So I feel like sipping a rose of the summer. Cheers! I'm almost done with my champagne cocktail. For me personally, I think that I prefer like the actual champagne tasting to the cocktail. This cocktail was absolutely lovely. I do want to point out that it has started to rain quite hard, which is putting a literal damper on our walk down the Avenue of Champagne. But while we sit here, I did want to say that first of all, I have discovered that some of these champagne houses actually offer tours of their cellars. One of them, Mercier, even seems to offer a train tour. We're a little limited on time because we have to catch the 5:30 train back to Paris. But in the future, if you were interested, you could always try to book one of those cellar tours, which sounds really interesting, especially if you're interested in learning about the history of Champagne. Now I'm going to try to remember this. The reason why this became the Avenue of Champagne is because this specific avenue was actually a shipping route. So this is where the champagne would be shipped out of France to Germany. And that's why we have all of these champagne houses here, and why you can come and you can either do a bunch of cellar tours, or you can come and just enjoy sipping champagne for hours and hours and hours. I know that everyone's giving me a hard time, but this is Kara right now. She's just sitting here, chilling, lounging. She's not tipsy at all.
Yeah, but I live my life this way.
It's going to rain very hard very soon. So this was the champagne house that was the closest. And I think we're going to take a taste and a peek. Let's see how it goes. It's so pretty. Basically, it started to rain and the whole boulevard is just full of champagne houses. So we walked into like the nearest one and it looked super cute. It has like these beautiful blue sofas, and we're going to do 2 tastings of 2 different types. So I'm going to get the dégustation de deux coupes de France, which is €31, and Kara's going to get the dégustation de deux coupes d'extra brut, which is €29. So we'll see how it goes. These are the champagnes that we're tasting here. He did a wonderful job of explaining all of them. I'm going to do a horrible job, so I'm not even going to try. If you come to Epernay, every single stop, the waiter who is serving you will be able to tell you everything that you want to know about the amount of sugar and how long each of the champagnes are aged. One of the cool things he said was that the shape of these specific glasses echo the shape of the specific bottles of the Prince Champagne, which has a very specific, unique shape. I believe, if I remember correctly, it was supposed to emulate like a carafe and help with the taste and the enjoyment of the champagne. So, cheers!
Hello and welcome to Drunk French History. So, back in the day, the Princes of Orange, which orange is like a non-orange, not an actual orange. but it's a county in the Netherlands. So some Dutch guys came to this area and decided to try some champagne. But they didn't really understand the concept of carbonation. So they tried to put the champagne into decanters, which are this shape, but like in reverse. And because a decanter is meant to aerate your wine, because the wide flat bit makes the maximum amount of wine touch the air, obviously immediately all the bubbles went out. So then it was just flat champagne. Like, why is this terrible? So then the locals were like, we must not upset the Princes of Orange. And they created a bottle that was sort of in this shape, but also covered, so like not so much of the wine was touching the air, and therefore it kept its carbonation. And that's how they ended up traditionally doing things in this shape. So they have the bottles that are in the shape of decanters, and the wine glasses that are meant to emulate the bottles.
On our walk, we have found this lovely place. Say hi, Cara. I guess it is called Michel Gonnet. It is très mignon, or very cute. So we're gonna see what they have to offer. We have time for one more tasting. We went to Michel Gonnet. This place is gorgeous. It is so gorgeous. I literally said, I feel like a queen in the seat that I am sitting in. Also, in terms of like tastings, they do offer champagne tastings, and you can get 3 champagnes for 20 euro, which so far I believe is the least expensive of all the places we've gone. So I'm very excited. I feel transported back in time. I feel like Blair Waldorf and Gossip Girl. I'm in heaven. I'm in trouble because I still have a 3rd glass to have here at the champagne stop. And as I promised you, I would get more and more champagne-y throughout the day. And I am very champagne-y right now. I felt the need to take this moment to tell you a bit of advice that my friend Cara told me. So at the beginning of our time here in Epernay, as soon as we got off the train, Cara suggested that we go to a supermarket and that we pick up snacks. So we ended up at a patisserie. I got a ham and cheese sandwich. Cara got a sandwich as well. We got some patisseries. Now they do offer food at several of these champagne houses. Not all of them, but several of them. The food is very expensive. I would say that saying that we should get these sandwiches to eat as we walked along the Avenue de Champagne was one of the best pieces of advice that I could personally get. I actually wish that I had bought 2 sandwiches. These are our last 2 glasses. This specific champagne house has been really great in that they've given both me and Cara different glasses of champagne that we can share. Now, I happen to like rosé, so I'm very excited to get the rosé. They say that it's sweeter. This rosé, or sorry, not rosé, this champagne is the champagne that they say they recommend to people who don't drink champagne a lot. So I'm going to taste both of them. I really like sweet rosé. It's so delicious. Oh, this one's very magical. Oh, it's very magical. Oh no. Oh no, I don't know which one I prefer. C'est le mieux, c'est le meilleur que les maisons de champagne en Epernay. Essentially, we've had a lot of champagne. We've had a wonderful day in Epernay. It was totally worth the 27 euro, 22 euro that it took to come out here to Epernay from Paris. Since I'm making this video to help you have your very best Epernay experience, I need to be 100% honest. I couldn't actually finish this video in Epernay because I had drunk too much champagne. I actually regret nothing, but I do have some advice for you should you choose to go so that you can have an even better experience. First of all, plan to stay the whole day and the whole evening. We had to be back in Paris for dinner, and that was a huge mistake. I might even say it would have been lovely to rent a hotel out there and not even have to worry about getting back to Paris. Because we did have to get back to Paris for dinner, everything felt rushed and we couldn't pace ourselves right. It also meant that we didn't have time to do any of the cellar tours. When I go again, I will definitely plan to do at least one cellar tour and to spend between an hour and a half to 2 hours at each champagne tasting. Oh, and to try to have at least one good-sized sit-down meal somewhere in Epernay, even if it means leaving the actual Avenue of Champagne. Epernay is a fabulous excursion for a date, a honeymoon, a girls' night out, and we saw several bachelorette parties having an absolute blast. What do you think? Have you been to Epernay? If so, write any advice you have for others in the comments so the whole community can have an amazing experience. Thank you so much for watching, and for more travel fun, make sure that you click subscribe.